Well, hi, I'm Mike Falkenstein, and I direct a Christian nonprofit organization called 1-8 Catalyst. And, during this spring of 2020, I was planning on being out and about, telling people about our ministry, speaking in churches and community groups and Sunday school classes. And with this virus pandemic, that is just not possible now. So I thought I would just put together this quick video to show you what we do at 1-8 Catalyst and ask you to pray about joining us in our work. So from my kitchen table, let me tell you a little bit about what we do at 1-8 Catalyst. At 1-8 Catalyst, we exist to create resources and deliver training that is a catalyst enabling every Christian to find Great Commission fulfillment. What that really means is that what we're really doing is training and equipping Christians to reach their world for Christ. At 1-8 Catalyst, we believe that the Great Commission command given by Jesus to proclaim the gospel and make disciples is a command for every Christian to obey. Many Christians come to me and they've told me that they don't feel comfortable sharing their faith and they wouldn't know how to make disciples if their life depended on it. And yet, I often recall the words of Jesus in Matthew 7 when he states that every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. So much of what we do worldwide is train and equip Christians, helping them to grow spiritually, then giving them the tools they need to have an impact where God has placed them. So, let me give you an inside look at this training and equipping. One of the first things that we wanted to do was to have some resources that we could use that would help Christians know what a disciple of Jesus is, so that as they can assess their own walk with the Lord, and help churches assess their ability to be a disciple-making church. So I drew on my long history of discipleship and Bible study, and I wrote a couple of book resources to use in our ministry. So this is the first one. This is a book called What You Do Shows Who You Are, The 6 Marks of a Disciple of Jesus. And this is a book resource best utilized in a community group or Sunday school setting. Of course, you can read it by yourself, and people have done that. But really, it's designed to be a discussion-inducing resource so that as you all together are going through it, you're helping each other in your walk with the Lord in the areas where you might need the most help. The next book resource that we've produced, and it's something that's just been published, is this guy here. And so this is a book called Keeping Watch Over Souls, the 6 Marks of a Church That Makes Disciples. This is a resource specifically designed for church elders and leaders, since a disciple-making church is a church reaching its world for Christ. Each of these book resources has 8 chapters, and each book has discussion questions at the end, again, to facilitate discussion. Part of what has been fun as we've seen God work over the last year or two, Christian leaders from around the world are coming to us and asking us if they can get permission to translate these books into their own language for their own ministry use. And so as I speak to you today, this first book has now been translated into Indonesian. In fact, the Indonesian version, the book layout is just finished. We're about halfway done with the Portuguese. Some missionaries in Brazil had asked us for that. And later in 2020, this book will be translated into Chinese and Spanish as well. So let me give you just a quick inside look at the Indonesian version of What You Do Shows Who You Are. The book layout is ready, and it'll be ready for publication in June of 2020. And we already have about 20,000 pre-orders for the book. So the Indonesian church is excited about receiving this new resource. The content of this book in particular has really struck a chord and met a need around the world, particularly in areas where good and solid training is always a need. Let me give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. This August, I've been invited to attend a conference and teach at a conference in Nairobi, Kenya, to 2,000 Christian leaders on the 6 marks of a disciple of Jesus. Imagine with me the impact that this will have. Not only will each of the participants get a copy of the book that they'll be able then to use as a teaching guide back at their own home churches, but as these leaders receive this challenging teaching on what it means to be a fully devoted follower of Jesus, and then they get also, as always, a regular challenge that we give to everyone, that Jesus has asked them to do more than just to live daily for Him, but to obey Jesus, to obey Him, to reach the rest of Kenya for Christ. Many lives will be changed forever for the gospel. And this happens wherever I'm asked to go worldwide to teach this content. Well, welcome to the 1-8 Catalyst Media Studio 1A. It's here that we produce all of our YouTube and Facebook Live resources, as well as record our new podcast that we call the Catalytic Podcast. You know, here at the studio, when developing new content, we're always going to ask one very important question. What content would help people best find Great Commission fulfillment? So let me give you a quick look and listen at some of this content. So here's a small clip from a video that we've made as a part of a YouTube video series that we've created specifically for social media. Have a look.
This is Billy. Billy loves Jesus and regularly attends and tithes at his church and volunteers in a couple of ministries at the church as well. Billy really wants to do his best at being a good Christian. Billy is a regular Bible reader, but he is only reading a few verses a day. He determines that he should dedicate more time to reading and studying it. The next day, as Billy was talking to a Christian friend of his, the topic of Bible reading and Bible studying came up, and all the questions that it created for Billy. His friend Jimmy exclaimed, "Billy, this is your lucky day. I need to tell you about 1-8 Catalyst. They have a number of training tools on their website that will help you with your problem." Billy immediately, upon returning home, gets on his computer and navigates to 18catalyst.org, where he finds a 5-day-a-week Bible reading plan that will help him read through the Bible in just a year.
These videos are intended to bring out biblical commands that we're asked to follow, paired together with the resource itself that we've created to meet that need. Our podcast is called the Catalytic Podcast, and it exists to break down in the simplest terms how Great Commission fulfillment is achieved. Take a listen here at the very first episode of this new ministry resource.
So my final pitch for you today is, why should you listen to this podcast? I believe you should listen to this podcast because Jesus commands all of us to find Great Commission fulfillment. And I'll do my best to break down what it looks like through these interviews, through book reviews, through helpful resources that will get you steps closer to finding out how God wants to use you in His work in your local area and around the world.
This podcast is available for you to subscribe to just about anywhere that podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, so forth and so on.
I have one more thing to show you. Something that's on our Here's What We're Trusting God For list. Imagine with me an online portal where any Christian could go to receive evangelism training, walk with me week by week and chapter by chapter as I teach the 6 marks of a disciple of Jesus. As we train and equip Christians to reach their world for Christ, we'd love to have an online portal where once you have an account set up, you could track your progress as you go through our training and as you read our Bible in a Year reading program. All of this would be available 24/7 for any Christian around the world who wants the training.
So, back at my kitchen table, I have one final thing for you today. I hope that you can see that we're doing our best to train and equip Christians to reach their world for Christ. I truly believe that if we were able to train, and impact 50,000 people through our ministry in the next year, we would see those 50,000 then leading 250,000 people to Christ. Because remember, every good tree bears good fruit. So I have to ask you to pray about joining our partnership team, helping us to do more, to train more, who then reach more for Christ. I would sure appreciate the prayer in that way. Of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to contact me at 18catalyst.org. And to join our partnership team, please go to 18catalyst.org/donate. Thank you so much for your time today. God bless.